Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Yo, yo.
Evening, Rich.
Evening, how are we doing?
All good.
All good.
Mate, all good.
Excellent. So this is what I'm going to call a bonus podcast. This is the fight podcast. Tim has been on the podcast with me on episode 10. Cooksey, you're a virgin to the podcast. So I don't know what you've heard. I don't know if you've heard any of the episodes before.
Yeah, I had a listen to the last one that Tim was on. So yeah, I've got a brief overview of the format, should I say? So yeah, It was quite good.
Awesome. Well, in true Project Pod style, we're going to get acquainted with you because we already know Tim. So we're going to throw a few questions your way.
No worries, crack on.
Tim, have you got anything lined up? Do you want to chuck the odd quick firing?
I'll just off the cuff. Let's do it.
Well, I'm going to go for the first three, and then I'm going to ask a couple. I'm going to let you ask a couple, Tim. So, standard questions. Start off. Full name.
Jason Cooksey.
Age.
40, about to be 41, unfortunately.
Wow. Occupation.
IT technician.
How do you kickstart your day?
Crawl out of bed. Pretty much. Get a shower. Well, no, it's slightly different. Obviously, in lockdown, it's totally different. It's crawl out of bed and then pretty much straight on to work, like a scruff, and just don't do anything.
So I take it you're working from home as well, then?
Yeah, unfortunately. Obviously, normally I'll be out and about fixing shit and seeing people and installing stuff, but yeah, we're doing all like first line stuff from home, which is incredibly boring. So
all like remote support, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Mario or Sonic?
Sonic.
What's your speciality dish?
Speciality dish. Don't really have one. I'm probably, if I had to push anything, I'd say I'm a curry boy. We're obviously coming from Bradford, so yeah.
Standard answer every time, isn't it?
Chicken.
You could have said curry to every answer.
Yeah, chicken booner probably, or a balti, one out of the yeah.
Chicken booner.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Go on, Tim. I'm going to let you chuck a couple of questions in.
Oh, favorite alcoholic drink?
Probably rum, if I had to say. Yeah, like a bit of Jamaican spice rum.
Yeah, spiced rum. Yeah, have you ever had it with? Have you tried it with ginger beer? Jamaican ginger beer?
I haven't actually. No. It's always I'm always damping it down with Coke, so I might have to give that a bash.
Yeah, the original one though, not the fake shit that's out there. There's some sketchy shit out there. The proper one.
Yeah, I think I've seen the decent gear they sell at Morrison's, don't they? I've seen it when they've been at Morrison's, I think.
Yeah.
I like a whiskey. I like a Jameson's with ginger ale and lime. Because I've always been a whiskey guy. I don't like people who mix whiskey when they go, I have JD and Coke. I'm like, why? Why are you ruining the whiskey by putting Coke in it? It's just, for me, it's just a no-go. So usually I just drink straight, couple of cubes of ice. But I went to Dublin, and me and my brother were sat in this kind of, it was like a student-y kind of pub. You know, the area, it was the Rathmines in Dublin. Anyway, so it's just like, it's dead weird. Everybody just comes and sits next to you and starts talking to you and stuff. I say it's weird. That should be quite normal. But, you know, well, being from a little bit further down south, you know what I mean? We don't talk to people these days. But yeah, so this girl comes up and I was like, oh, what's that? Is it like I thought it was some sort of, I don't know, what do they drink nowadays? Cocktails, gin, stuff like that. She says, it's whiskey. It's Jameson's with ginger ale. You should try it. So I was like, all right, I'll get one of them. So get a blast. Put it down. I was like, fucking hell, that is a nice tipple. It is a nice tipple. And I came back with a bottle of that notorious proper 12.
Connor's lethal Irish whiskey.
Yeah. I started punching old guys in the head when I got back after that. But yeah. So we'll come on to UFC in a bit. I'm going to ask you this one, which is quite a common one that I ask, is what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Probably my old man, to be honest. Just work hard, graft. Bosses always love a grafter, so regardless of whatever you're doing, put your shift in, do what you got to do. Yeah, no matter what your job is, really.
Yeah, so true. It's good ethos. And I'll let you finish him off, Tim.
Whoa.
I know that kind of.
Thank you for that kind of podcast, gentlemen.
I thought you were partners.
One up your street, anyway. What's the best special forces regiment in the world, in your opinion?
Oh, having read various books, you've only got really two to choose from. It's either got a bit SAS or SBS, and having read a couple of books on both, I would probably have to go with SBS, purely in terms of their fitness, and some of the stuff they have to do. It's much, their selection course is a lot harder from what I've read than the SAS course, and that's not to say the SAS course obviously is a walk in the park, but some of the stuff that they put them through on that selection course, it's just crazy.
Have you been watching the what's it called?
SAS Who Dares Wins.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I haven't actually. No, I think I watched one of the series a while back. But the thing with Channel 4 is on the on-demand thing, they still have the adverts, and that really pisses me off. So that's what annoys me about watching it on Channel 4. It's just adverts.
And it's funny you mentioned that though, because Ant Middleton was actually SBS. It wasn't SAS.
Ah, right.
Yeah, it's Special Boat Service. I've read both his books. Really good books, actually. So he was in a parachute regiment to start off with, and then he went into the SBS. Some good stuff in that first book, especially. The second book, Fear Bubble, I think was more commercial, more for people about how to sort of get past certain fears and break out of that bubble of like not wanting to sort of go out your comfort zone and stuff like that, and I suppose taking that stuff into your normal day-to-day life. But the first one, that was more about him and his upbringing and the things that had happened and the reason why he got into the army and onto the SBS. He talks a lot about the SAS in that as well. And there was another program he did, what he also talks about, which was before he did that SAS, or it might have been somewhere in between actually. And I can't remember what the program's called, but it's a really good book. I recommend that highly if you're into SAS and SBS. Ant Middleton, he's got a bit of a story to tell, a bit of a history.
Yeah, I think Tim lent me that book ages ago, and I still haven't got around reading it yet.
Yeah.
First Man, is it First
Man in? Yeah.
Look, you need to read that, Cook. Honestly, you'd like that. It is a good book.
The one that I read, the SBS one that I read, I told you about this before. It's by a guy called Duncan Falconer, and he went in. They recruited him dead young. He was in the Marines, and at the time, I think it was in the late 60s, early 70s. The MOD had made a slight change to the program. They wanted to get younger guys in. And you had to have served in the Marines for a certain number of years before you could go for selection for the SBS. And they changed the rules. And I think he'd only been in the Marines at something like 6 months or something ridiculous like that. And there was a big uproar about it. Anyway, he went for this trial selection course for these younger guys and got in. But yeah, the book's really, really good. It's an excellent book because it's obviously more old school as well. There's not as many gadgets in it and stuff and all that kind of thing. It's a really good book. I can't remember if I lent you that, Tim, or not. I can't remember.
Can you remember the title of it?
First Into Action, it's called.
Yeah, I think you did, mate. I think you did.
Really good book.
Yeah, I don't think I've got around to reading that, but it'll be on the list.
It is a really, really good book. Brilliant book. I've read it a couple of times.
I'll stick that one down. I'm into all that myself.
Yeah, it is a good book.
So one of the reasons for this is because actually me and Tim, we did the podcast just before UFC 249, and we started trying to sort of break it down with our limited knowledge. We see ourselves as a bit more than casuals, but with some of the stuff that we said we were close, some of the stuff we were way out as well, I think. But it was nice to sort of have that conversation and see some of that come to light. And I wanted to straight after. I wanted to go back to it and say, right, let's talk about this. But since then, we've had 2 other cards as well. So they've passed. So we've got a bit to talk about on that. Cooksey, how's your knowledge on the UFC? What have you seen any of the recent fights during COVID?
I'm not, annoyingly, I've always wanted to get into it, and I have tried it sporadically over the years, but it just doesn't bite with me. I like my boxing, so you'd think that I'd be all right with UFC, but it's just I just can't get into it for the life of me. I've tried it various times over the years, and I just can't can't get into it. After listening to the podcast that you guys did the other week, I actually watched one of the fights from UFC 249 just out of interest. And I think it was the main event fight, the last fight. And that there was I can't remember the guys' names now, but one of them absolutely got this guy, handed his ass to him, and some of the punches and the stuff he took this guy, and how he kept going, I have no idea.
It must have been Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gathje.
Yeah. Ferguson got absolutely battered.
He did get
how he kept on going, I have no idea. That were what you would call a superhuman effort. I mean, that guy's got a chin of Christ knows what. Never mind a chin of steel. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is what we say. Is a lesser fighter would have folded, but him being
just got that winning mentality. He had not lost for 8 years. You know what I mean? So I suppose part of him was like, we can still do this. He's been in deep waters. He always seems to get caught or rocked in his fights anyway, doesn't he? He always seems to get something, but he just comes through it and just cracks on and ends up basically pushing the pace too hard for the opposition. Because Tony can do round after round after he can go. And you could see he was getting cracked and he was still going. He did look a little bit more weary on his feet, and he was saying that at the end that it was a long camp and stuff like that. But, that's off to Gaethje, because that's the fight where, I don't know, I didn't actually make a prediction. I was a bit like, I don't really want to say. But the reason I wanted Tony to win is because I wanted Tony versus Khabib. I'm like, this fight's got to happen. Even if it's in the 10th time of trying, it's got to happen. And that was what gutted me. As much as it was great to see, Gaethje put on a show. Gaethje lit him up. After the first round, Tony went back to his corner, and Eddie Bravo, his jiu-jitsu coach, was going, "Oh, great boxing, Tony." And I was thinking, what? And that's the best thing about these fights, is that you can hear everything, what the coaches are saying. You can hear the guys in the octagon talking to each other. Been some mad trash talk. Even with some of them, there's been some stuff. Did you see most recently? And we'll come back to Tony and Gaethje because there's so much to talk about on that. But Smith got beat by Glover Teixeira, and at one point, Glover was like on top of him, pressed him up against the cage, and he's hitting him, and he turns around to him and goes, "I'm sorry, man. This it's part of the job."
It's nothing personal.
As he went banging him, and
he actually said that to him.
Goes, yeah, Smith's like that. What? And he goes, "Sorry, man. It's just part of the job." And you know what Smith goes, "It is what it is, man." And then he just keeps punching him on his ear. That's some warrior shit.
Having a blackout with no audience. I mean, even if you were to do that in boxing you did everything. You did every punch, the corners instructions that they're shouting out all the time.
Yeah.
Which usually that'd be drowned out by the crowd. But now you're hearing everything. You can hear a frigging pin drop in that. I still don't understand why they're doing these events in massive stadiums when you could literally get in a little frigging pub room or something, or a bar, couldn't you?
Little conference room somewhere.
Stadium with people there, unless it's just for the effect. But
maybe
it's strange times with these fights. I mean, UFC are the only ones to do it.
Yeah, well, what's his face is taking the leaf out of it. Is it Dana White? Have I pronounced that right? The guy who runs UFC. Eddie Hearn's taking the leaf out of his book, and he's doing something called Fight Camp, where basically, because the Matchroom headquarters is in like a mansion, from what I can gather. Obviously, that his dad owns, and they have the headquarters there, and they've got a significant amount of land out the back. So he's come up with this plan. They're going to erect a ring and tents and all this kind of stuff, and they're actually going to put on 4 fights over, I think it's 4 weekends. That's the plan. And some of them are going to be like international fights. They're not going to just be domestic, Joe Bloggs from Sheffield fights Steve Smith from Birmingham or whatever. They're going to be high-level fights apparently. So if he can pull it off, that's what
I'm looking forward to Joe Bloggs versus Steve Smith. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be a cracking fight.
Yeah, Smith's a beast, man. Smith is a beast.
I tell you what, though, I did see on Instagram Chisora. There was like a picture of Chisora and what's his face, Usyk, side by side, and it was saying there was something there about them two. I know they were planning to fight, but it said coming soon to box office. So maybe it's that. It said, I'm gonna have to check this out now, because maybe that rings true what you were saying about the backyard fight or whatever it is. Yeah. Call it a backyard fight. It's hardly going to be that, but I couldn't work it out. I was like, what does this mean? I know the fighting doesn't. It's a bit cryptic. La Casa de Chisora. That was the title, heavyweight boxing.
Right. The one I did, I'm sure Ernest said
Chisora's house.
Pull it off.
Yeah, that's fine, isn't it?
That'd be brilliant. That'd be brilliant. I'm sure the one he wanted to pull out. Well, I think what he wanted to do was he wanted to culminate those 4 weekends with the last weekend and have Povetkin versus White as the main event on the last weekend. I'm sure that's what he said. But obviously, whether or not he can pull it off is a different matter. So
that'll be a good fight.
Usyk,
yeah.
I think Chisora would absolutely demolish Usyk, don't you?
No, man, it's too technical. Nah, Usyk's footwork's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah,
I think Chisora's a brawler, and he's got better, but he's just not. He's not there. He's not top. He's not elite, is he? You know what I mean?
He's gonna try and put Usyk under it, and he's gonna put him under it from first bell, put it on him, and if he can, then. And he catches him. It's heavyweight boxing, isn't it? He's going out. But yeah, I mean, I think Usyk would just be too clever for him. He'll just dance around him and jab him to death.
Just so elusive, man. It's so elusive. It's gonna, and that what you can see with somebody like Chisora is going to frustrate him, and then he's gonna, Chisora's a special sort of move, really special move. I don't know what the best word is for it, but he's got a big overhand. He goes for the overhand. You know what I mean? Big overhand right. Chisora will know that's there. He'll just start getting frustrated.
Yeah, if he gets frustrated, then he plays straight into Usyk's hands with that.
Pick him off.
Yeah, just pick him off.
And he's definitely changed it around. Apparently he's a God-fearing man now, and he's training a lot harder. But then you've seen it since he said that. You've seen him go off it again and do his old tricks, throwing tables about and stuff. Anyway, so. Who knows? Who knows what Chisora's going to turn up? But I just don't think he's got the discipline and the skill to beat Usyk.
Usyk's a natural. We're a cruiserweight, wasn't he? We're never an heavyweight to start off with.
Yeah. He's only just gone up, hasn't he? I think this is his first fight heavyweight. I think the first one, did that get cancelled?
No, he's had one fight.
No, he's had one fight, hasn't he? Yeah, I can't remember who it was. He has had one fight. But he gets an automatic title shot, doesn't he? Because he's with being unified cruiserweight champ. He gets an automatic title shot. Is it the WBO belt? I think.
Yeah. So he's got Joshua.
Yeah, but obviously they've ordered Pulev first, haven't they, before that one?
Pulev's, that's a soft fight, I think. He didn't want none of that smoke last time. I'm sure him and Joshua were supposed to be fighting before, and they squared up to each other, and Pulev did his pants and fucked off, and they said, I'm not fighting him. So I don't know, he's grown some more balls in the last couple of years. Maybe because he's seen Joshua get knocked down by a little fat Mexican. So he thought, maybe I've got a shot here now. But yeah, I think they were lined up to fight once before, and
yeah,
it didn't happen. they came to the sort of face to face, and I think he realised it's too much.
I mean, I know we all said it about the fight between Joshua and Ruiz the first time, but I only see one winner in that fight. Joshua should steamroll him. Especially given, I think he's probably got a new outlook on the way he boxes now because of what happened with Ruiz. I mean, what a freak! You could tell after you watched it, he should have finished him off. He had him down, and then it were a freak punch that obviously caught him on the back of the head, and then that was it. It just wasn't the same since. So it wasn't the same after that. And Ruiz just took full advantage. You got to give credit to him, and just battered him because he was there for the taking, and he took him. But the rematch, I think that took him up another level from his own outlook at the way he looks at his boxing. I think that taught him something else about himself, and I don't think he'd make the same mistake twice with a lesser fighter. With all due respect to Pulev, he's not in his class. So
no, and to be honest with you, I always say this about because the thing with boxing now is there's a lot of pressure on being undefeated. It's all about being undefeated and stuff. It's kind of that Floyd Mayweather trend, but actually you learn from losing as well. And I think there's a lot of fighters out there in the UFC, the same kind of thing. Once they lose, they come back with a different mentality. Because I suppose if you go on this kind of crazy winning streak of just beating people, you start thinking that you're unstoppable. And that's going to happen to anybody. It's going to happen in your head. And you look at Deontay Wilder, for instance, and then when he came out against Fury last, looked like nothing. Didn't look like he had anything at all. And I think he just thought, I've got this, got it in the bag. He'd beat what's his name, Cuban fighter in between the two fights. Ortiz, yeah, and banged him out. He beat Brazil. I mean, he took his soul. And then I just think he, in his head it was like, I don't need to train, because it seemed to me like he'd not really trained. And when he started, getting hit a few times by Fury, and Fury was putting it on him, and you got to think Fury's a heavy guy, and how he's always been successful is leaning on people, tying them up, putting weight on them. And once somebody like that, heavy like that, does that to you, eventually he's going to start getting you tired. And I just think, he just thought, well, last time I pretty much knocked him out. Yeah, he got up, fair enough, but next time he won't get up. But he didn't train the way he needed to train. And Fury changed his game plan and he went straight forward. Fought like a Mexican, fought like Ruiz. And I think that's what the difference was with Ruiz is, like you said, I think majority of times they fight, Joshua can beat him. But I think the thing was, Ruiz wasn't scared of him. Most people are already scared before they step in that ring. Ruiz being a Mexican fighter, fighting from probably 5-year-old, no man bothers him. Nobody bothers him. It doesn't matter what you look like. You can look like an Adonis like AJ, and he will still fight you, and he'll still stand there, and he'll still bang with you. Because like when he got put down, most people will back up then and try and just kind of wait it out, get into the next round. He went down, he got up, and he smacked Joshua and caught Joshua off. And I think that's part of Joshua as well as being still quite immature. Still in his infancy, really. He's had, 21 fights, something like that. It's not a lot. Mm-hmm. And when he put him down, he could have let him get back up, and he could have took his time and just picked him off a little bit before he found that big punch again. But instead, he just did what he was doing with some of the other guys. They've gone down, gets back up, let's keep swinging, let's get him again. But because of the skill, the boxing experience that Ruiz had, he knew what was coming, and he caught him. It was a good sort of counter shot, really.
Fast hands as well. Very fast. Big guy, and obviously his skill set, like you said, superior in close. He had superior hands, and Joshua being the big sort of, lumbering bodybuilder style fighter, he just couldn't cope with that up close speed that Ruiz threw at him. Yeah, almost like punches, but they were very precise, weren't they?
Yeah, the speed's crazy. I mean, I remember watching when the fight was first announced. I was like, "Who's this guy?" So it's like, over we go, YouTube, and Jesus wept. The hand speed just ridiculous for a guy of his size. It's like that is just mental. It's just lightning quick, and it's like anything else. If you're fighting on the inside and you're that quick, you're putting people to sleep. End of story.
Yeah.
Fair play. He did what he had to do, though. And look at the amount of money he made from that fight. He's set now. He's set. His family's set for life. Jobs are good for him. He's made it. Red panty night.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, well, good luck to it. Because it was like chance. It was a chance of a lifetime. Came out of nowhere and achieved the impossible. They've never had an heavyweight champion, have they, Mexico? So
no.
So yeah,
didn't last long, but they've got one now. Or they've had one.
National hero, made his money. Secured his family. Jobs are good.
Free Snickers for life.
Yeah.
Live to fight another day. No major injuries. No head trauma. He's fine now. He can retire and forget about it, can't he?
There's been a few talking about like White said he'd fight him and stuff like that. But why? You don't need to, do you? Really? I mean, I suppose he could, but he's had all the belts pretty much. So I don't know. Either way. He's done what he's needed to do. Like he said, he's come out. There's no head trauma. He can go and enjoy himself. I mean, he looks like the type of guy that likes to enjoy himself. So, I want to pick up on the UFC 249 again, anyway, because we're just talking about that. But I want to go back to some of the fights before. Did you watch any of the other fights, Jace, or was it just?
I did, but no, it was just that one. I had a look at. Yeah, I wanted to see what you two were, what all the fuss was about. So I thought I'll have a look at that. Was that the man? I'm thinking that was that the main event? Those two fighting? Was that the last fight? Yeah.
So it was for the. Yeah, it was for the lightweight. Well, it wasn't the lightweight title; it's the interim lightweight title. So, because Khabib holds the lightweight title, but he couldn't fight, couldn't get into the country or whatever with COVID. But Tony was set to fight Khabib, so he could have just probably hung out and said, "Look, I'm going to wait for Khabib," but he didn't. Tony being Tony went, "Nah, fuck it, I'm ready. I'm going to fight." He weighed in 2 weeks before the fight, which we talked about this. I'm saying, do you think that's going to be a good thing? Do you think you should be weighing in, then, blowing up again and then having to cut weight again? But one of the things that we kind of mentioned was that he used to do that stuff. He used to do it for TUF, the Ultimate Fighter, which is how he got into the UFC. And I heard elsewhere as well that he was a wrestler, college wrestler as a kid. So they were weighing in every couple of days and stuff anyway. So I was like, maybe that's why he's doing it. Maybe it's sort of built into him. But I do think it was a little bit detrimental seeing him. He did at points look tired on his feet, looked a bit dead on his feet. Round 3, definitely round 4. Obviously, he was just taking a lot of damage. So going back to what I was saying there at the beginning was I really wanted him to win. Not that I'm bothered. I'm not like a massive Tony fan. I like what he does. I like watching him. He's entertaining, but I'm not like, I don't really care how the fights usually go because it's just entertaining. But particularly because I think, because styles make fights, I wanted him to fight Khabib because in my opinion, he is the toughest fight for Khabib because of his jiu-jitsu style. And Khabib's going to put you on the floor. And he's the one guy that doesn't care about being on the floor and being on his back. That was what was going to make that fight so interesting. Now I'm kind of like, is it going to be the same as Justin Gathje done Khabib a favor? Because does Khabib deal with Gathje? Because it doesn't matter who you are. Khabib's going to put you down and he's going to get on top of you. That's just Khabib. And it's been proven time and time again. People like Daniel Cormier have talked about it and said how strong he is. You know what I mean? It's like having a heavyweight on top of you. Never mind the fact that he's a lightweight. He's just so good. He's gone up against, Olympic hopefuls and stuff like that in America, just as an exhibition type thing, and just totally ragdolled him. It was the chap you was on about, Tim. He was on about it. Somebody told him to, was this one of his cousins? Said that he was going to snap his neck off or something.
Are you on about the wrestler?
Yeah.
So basically, it were like, because in America, high school wrestling's massive, isn't it? Yeah. And this was like a Division 1, Tier 1 wrestler who came down to Cormier's gym, and I think Khabib just absolutely ragdolled him. Yeah. And hit him with a really weird move called, I think it's called a Russian tie, something like that, where it was a really weird, rare submission. It's difficult to get on anybody, but he managed to pull it off and get it on a top-notch wrestler, and it just embarrassed the guy. So his level of wrestling is a different level to what everybody else is used to. And I've always said as well, if you're the one who dictates where the fight goes, so if you dictate it goes to the ground, and you're the best on the ground, then it doesn't really matter how good a striker the other guy is. How much of a wrestler the other guy is, because nobody can cope with that amount of pressure that he brings to the table. And if he dictates when he takes you down, and he dictates what he does to you when you're down, there ain't much anybody can do against that. And to be fair, going back to Ferguson, he'd spent a camp preparing for that. Yeah, true. And then he comes against somebody who stays on his feet and just boxes it off. So it's like training to do a sprint. All of a sudden, you're in a marathon. You've got to train for what you're going to do. That's the same with anything, isn't it?
Because it's interesting with Gaethje, because everybody talks about how good a wrestler he is, all-state, all-American wrestler and all that kind of stuff, but we've never seen it in the octagon, so we don't know how good he is. But then I watched something with, well, his hands are so good. Maybe people are giving him respect anyway and saying, why would I want to try and take this guy down because he's so good at wrestling? I don't know. So they're going to stand with him. But then you stand with him, you see what happens there as well, because he's such a good striker. And this is where, in our kind of predictions, where I was way out, because I was saying, I think Ferguson's more tactile. I think Ferguson will be able to find his range, pick his punches, because we both spoke about the way Justin literally swings for the bleachers. He's trying to knock your head off. But I thought Tony would have seen a lot of that, and Tony would have been just picking him off with a jab and finding his way in. He did it in with some good shots. And he has got quite a lot in his arsenal, Tony has. He's got so many different weird kicks in that. He's got that kind of b-boy dance style, and he does stuff like he does all weird things that I've never even seen any other fighter do. It's like he makes his own fight style.
He's unorthodox and hard to read.
Very unorthodox.
Isn't there a martial art that's very similar to that? It's almost like dancing. Is it like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or something, or something stupid like that?
Yeah,
capoeira.
And it's almost like it's just all very smooth, and you
flowy.
Yeah.
What originally was the peasants who practiced it had to disguise their martial art as a dance because it were outlawed. So all these weird sort of like dancing movements incorporated quite accurate martial arts moves like spinning kicks and all that kind of stuff, but it were disguised as a dance. But it is a legitimate martial art, and some serious power can be generated when they're spinning and creating talk. Now he does. I get where you're coming from there, because he does sometimes spin and do weird shit, and you don't know where it's coming from, and all of a sudden there's a kick from a dodgy angle. But what Justin Gathje did is he offset that with basically old school orthodox boxing, jabbing, boxing, keeping it very, very simple and ignoring and not falling into that trap of getting caught in the smoke and mirrors. Really, he just sort of like stuck to his game plan. Obviously, through the low kicks in, which will take anybody's legs out. Especially, he's got some good kicks. I forgot about his kicks, to be honest with you, but he has got some decent kicks.
Yeah, I was gutted about that because we was talking about the fights, and I actually texted Timmy before the fight, and I said, "How did I not mention Gage's kicks? Because he's got some great kicks, some power in his kick. You know, when he went up against Barboza, Barboza was so well known for his kicking and that. You went kick for kick with him. You know what I mean? And it was like, oh, this guy can. And that's the thing with him. He's so well rounded. He's so well rounded. If he has got that wrestling in the bag, what they're saying, it will be interesting to see how he stacks up against Khabib. I just think, you know, I was just really intrigued to see how Tony would do against Khabib off his back. I could see him cutting him open with elbows, you know, trying out that Darce choke, all these different, you know, that rubber guard and triangles, all of that Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And I'm sorry, Jason, if it sounds like I'm speaking a different language.
Oh no, it's fine, mate. Like I said, I don't follow it, but it's still interesting to hear you two talking about it. It's, like I said, I'll consider myself educated after tonight. So,
well, what was funny as well is the fact that we talked about how Gaethje, you know, wouldn't be as good a boxer, or potentially not as good a boxer, because he's just swinging it and knock your head off. And we also spoke about on the same card there, Ngannou versus Rosenstrike. Now Tim was saying, yeah, I've been watching Ngannou and his boxing has been brilliant. You know, he's like, when he first came out, he didn't really have just pure power, just raw power. Have you ever seen Ngannou, Jace?
No, mate, no.
So, you know, think of Deontay Wilder. You know, put you out. You know, just at any time, you just catches you right, you're out. He's just got that kind of that ridiculous unhinged power. But Tim was saying, do you know what? I've watched him, and he's been boxing really well. I've seen him on the mitts and everything, and his boxing is really good now. It's like it's up there. He came out. They kind of went to the center of the cage with each other. I think Rosenstrike threw a low leg kick at Ngannou, and Ngannou went, fuck this. He went full windmill, caught him on the chin. 20 seconds.
Boxing out the window.
Windmill, brilliant.
That was it. He just caught him on the chin. And when you see him put people out, right, what's so interesting about it is half of the shots he puts people out with, they don't look like much, because the windmills were missing. But then he just caught a glancing shot on the chin. Boom. Rosenstrike was out. Unfortunately for Rosenstrike, the ref wasn't very quick. So whilst he was down, he took another one.
Not off him. You don't want that off him, do you? You know what I mean? You won't want to tickle off him. Never mind frigging.
Can I just say that guy's got a quality name for a UFC fighter, Rosenstrike.
Yeah,
quality name.
Good name. But yeah, it's a shame.
Ngannou would do. I'd love to see him transition and go into boxing.
I can see it happening. I can see that happening. You know,
I mean,
especially if this division's held up for much longer.
Wilder. You know what I mean? So I reckon he's got that one punch knockout power, and like you just said, you can always spot a fighter with heavy hands because it doesn't even seem as though they've connected. And you think, well, why has that guy gone down? And if it doesn't even look like much, but yet the guy's sparked and he's on Pluto, you know that guy's got heavy hands and he can hit.
It's lucky that some of those big ones miss, because when he's catching them with those shots that are putting them down, like Tim just said, putting them down, he's putting them out like different planet. They're on a different, you know, at that point when they've been hit, they're not on the same world as us. They're like in mushroom land. Do you know what I mean? They're just on some different, some complete different level. But yeah, what was the crack with that? Going into the boxing, I think again he's not gonna go straight in against your Wilders, your Furies, stuff like that. He's got to start at like a normal level as a pro boxer. He's got to get his boxing license anyway. So then he's going to go in against a few, and he's going to go through it, and he's going to knock 10, 12 people out. And by that point, hopefully his footwork will all be sorted and everything. He could literally be, a good prospect in boxing. Because I mean, how old's the guy? I don't think it matters.
It don't matter. Not with that genetic. Not with that genetic.
It's ridiculous genetics.
And not when Mike Tyson's talking about having to come back at 50. What is he, 53?
Yeah,
he looks good. He looks good on the pads.
Did you see that clip of him on pads?
Yeah,
crazy.
Still cutting those angles and getting in the side there. That you loved that.
Somebody put a right comment on, and it was basically he just finished it in pads, and he turns to camera and just I can't remember. I think I'm back. He screams, "I'm back." And at 53 years old, someone's put, at 53 years old, Tyson would still kill 98% of humans. Which is pretty, I mean, he would, wouldn't it? With that kind of power and that kind of speed. He don't seem to have lost any speed.
No, it doesn't. But the thing is, it's all right watching a 10-second clip. What's he like when he gets into round 5?
Yeah. Well, he'll
be retiring back to the Tyson Ranch for.
It would be interesting. I hope. See, I'm a bit torn about it. 'Cause it's like, do you want him to come back? Is it going to be a farce? Do you want it? It's like I saw an interview with Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn was like, "Well, he's on about coming back and doing exhibitions. What's the point in fucking exhibition? Who wants to pay to see an exhibition? Two guys just like giving each other a little tap. Oh, don't hit me too hard. Blah blah blah, and dancing around. What's the point? You might as well do it if you're going to come back. Throw yourself into it properly and come back properly, or just don't bother at all. So it's a tricky one.
I don't think he will. It's not serious. I won't want him to see him come back. I won't want to, leave it where it is. He was the man for a number of years. Like you said, 98% of people, he could still kill now. But going into this is a young man's sport. You don't need to take any more damage. Look, he's got his own weed business. He's got a podcast now that's doing so well. He's making enough money. He doesn't need to step into the ring. I think it's one of those things that, he would go back and do an exhibition match, because who wouldn't? If he's going to get paid enough money, he's not going to get damaged, but he's not going to come back seriously. There's nothing out there.
There's talk of him fighting Shannon Briggs.
Well,
let's go.
Good fight, but do you know what I do?
They're of a similar age.
Shannon Briggs is dangerous.
There's only about 5 years between them or something stupid.
Yeah.
Like that. Briggs is like, what is he, 45, 46? Like
that'd be a good one to do. Obviously, he's not going to go in against frigging AJ or Fury or Wilder, but him and Briggs are probably on a similar level. And I think, to be honest with you, did you say they're about the same age, Cook?
I think there's about 6 or 7 years between them, I think, something like that.
Briggs is younger.
Yeah.
Briggs fought Lewis, didn't he?
Briggs
fought Lewis in the name. He troubled Lewis to start off with. I don't know if you remember that fight. If you're into your fighting, yeah. He fought Lewis, and he came in like a bull in a china shop. Came straight out, threw some big shots. He kind of troubled Lewis because he just put a lot of pressure on him, caught him, stunned him a little bit. But inevitably Lewis got him. I don't know if it was about 6-7 round. That was it. Game over. But he is a dangerous fighter. Even now, when you look at him, he's ripped. He's been training hard. And I know at the time, when David A was making his comeback and he was doing these shit fights on Channel 5. Or no, it was Dave. Fight Dave on Dave. And he was just fighting some. I don't know. I don't even know who these guys were. Nobody's really.
The plumber from Croatia, and
roided up guys, and so he was banging them out, and then obviously it was all fake, and everything that Tony Bellew was saying, because at the time when Tony Bellew was saying, I'll do him, and he's been fighting bums and stuff like that. I thought, you need to be careful what you wish for, but Tony Bellew just showed that David Hay didn't have it anymore, and one of the fights that they were talking about doing was Shannon Briggs. Shannon Briggs kept calling him out, and it was supposed to happen, and it didn't happen. And I think and I'm not saying he's scared, but I think he knew it was a dangerous fight, and there was easier fights to have and make that money. Because he ain't no punk, even at his age now. Yeah, because he's always been powerful, and that's the last thing to go.
There's part of me would want to see that Briggs against Tyson. That would be, if he was going to come back and that was going to be the fight, that'd be a good fight. That.
I don't think it'd get out of round 1. Somebody would be going down.
No, it wouldn't get a bit early rounds. There's no way that's going past like even halfway. There's no way that's going past like round 4 or anything like that. That's somebody's getting blasted out.
And just imagine the press conference as well, because we know Briggs can sell a fight, even when they're in the fight. He's out there and he's, let's go, champ! And look what he did to Klitschko. He terrorised Klitschko for about 6 months, trying to get that. Literally terrorised.
Water up in him, poured it over his head.
He did.
He did all sorts. He literally bullied him for 6 months. Still didn't get the fight. But
Klitschko was down halfway down the sea on a canoe boat or something, and he was there. Coming out, champ.
He just hounded him, didn't he? Hounded him.
Yeah, crazy stuff, man.
I'd love to see that fight. I mean, you can always cement Tyson's legacy. It's done anyway. Even if he came and got knocked out in round 1, it doesn't matter. That old style Tyson, those fights, those golden era fights, they're cemented in history. Nothing can ever diminish them. They are what they are.
As long as he's fighting somebody similar to his own age, it's a no-lose situation, because if he comes back and gets knocked out, people will just go, it's his age, he's lost it, you know. If he wins, it'll be the way around. Oh, you know, he's 50-odd and he's still got it. Fucking Mike, yeah, nice one. So it's a no-brainer. If he's fighting somebody of a similar age, I mean, it's one of the things. But there's no ways you can put him in with a younger guy, because it's just like Richard said, younger guy just dance rings around him for however many rounds and then just pick him off and then eventually probably just knock him out, more than likely.
Yeah, they need to get him all roided up, get him some of that Mexican supplement meat, get him on that Mexican diet, and then just watch. He's still got that fast twitch, fucking DNA rapid.
I mean, that's it. He's still quick. He's still powerful. He's gonna damage people. And that actually reminded me of what you're saying there. Is did you listen to Joe Rogan when he had Kamaru Usman on?
No, I didn't.
So Kamaru Usman met Mike Tyson. I think he went on his podcast, and he was talking about how, like, when you're in the room with him, he said, it's the way he said it to the mic. It's like, when you're in the room with him, it's like being in the room with a lion. You just know. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you just know this guy could explode, you know, at any time and blow up, and that'd be it. It's like, what the fuck are you gonna do? And that's Kamaru Usman. He's the welterweight UFC champion.
Coming from someone like him, that's a lot.
You just know, man. Feel that presence. He's like always on edge. Can't hang around with that guy, man. You'd have a nervous breakdown. I think it's better now. Obviously, is with this weed. Like, what's his podcast? Hotbox or something? It's hotboxing with Mike Tyson or something, isn't it? He just smokes weed on it.
Just clouds of weed.
Do you know what? He had Eminem on it, man. I was like, that's awesome. Yeah, I've not listened to that yet, but I've got to listen to it, because it's not something that I've been listening to, but I hear little clips or see bits on Instagram or whatever. But yeah, I've got to see that with Eminem, because Eminem don't do many interviews. Eminem and Mike Tyson, hotbox.
Weird universal flip. That's it's an entity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Check that one out.
It's a mad one. All right, so I've heard, Cookie, you're a bit of a conspiracy theorist, man. Let's get deep. Let me hear your thoughts on COVID now.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist myself. I just find the whole thing interesting. You know, I like watching stuff on YouTube and stuff. And I've watched a few of Joe Rogan stuff when he's had certain people on. And I just find the whole concept of it interesting. I mean, there's some of it you think to yourself, yeah, that makes a lot of logical sense. And then there's some of the stuff that some of the nutcases come out with. It's like, where are you even going with that? You know, like the old flat Earth thing and all that crap. And it's just like, what planet are you on? But you know, I find the whole concept of it interesting. My dad's worse than me. I remember it lead up to 2012. You know, the whole thing about that, because everybody was going crazy about that. Yeah, my dad, literally, on a serious note, he was convinced that something. You couldn't put him down to say what, but he was convinced that something was going to happen. Whether it was some kind of major catastrophe somewhere or something was going to happen. He said, no, don't go in for any of the end of this world crap. He said, that forget that. He said, but there's something going to happen. There's something going to happen. And it was like, Dad, nothing's going to happen. And surprise, surprise, nothing happened. So it was just like, it was crazy. Obviously, my wife, she's so easily wound up, and I remember in the lead up to that, because we were getting married as well at the end of September, and he was constantly winding her up about stuff like that. Every time we went to the house for dinner or something, it was like he'd come out with some new stat or fact or some random Mayan bullshit, and he used to just wind the wife up somewhat chronic with stuff like that. And he'd say something, and then she'd be straight on the phone looking it up and, you know, reading about it, and crazy stuff.
Yeah.
You're starting to get all prep ready, all non-perishable items of food and all that, getting all that ready and preparing it all and getting ready for that.
Yeah,
it's them lot that are making people panic buy, man. You know what I mean? Going into the shops now, you can't even get a pint of milk.
Well, I worked with a guy who he was adamant that when Brexit actually happened, he thought there was going to be like this mass panic of stuff, and he stockpiled a load of stuff. And obviously, as it turns out, it's come in handy because obviously of COVID and stuff. He said he had a chest freezer full of meat and stuff and all that, so he'd stockpiled all that, and it's like, well, it's coming handy now for COVID, hasn't it, Josh? So yeah, you can use it all now. But yeah, he was convinced of what was going to happen with Brexit. The country was going to go into meltdown and stuff when it got announced, and you know, it's like, what? Nothing's even really happened. So,
well, what's the latest one? The latest one's 5G, isn't it? And it's 5. It's not virus, bro. It's 5G, and the amount of times I've heard people say that to me. But you know it's 5G, don't you? You know it's not this virus. It doesn't exist. It's from the masts.
It's from what's happening in other parts of the country, but we in Bradford, we literally have had a spate of people try to set fire to 5G masts and stuff, and it's just crazy. It's just mental.
One of the lads who were doing a car for a guy today. It was part of people who keep all the network system operative, all the fibre optic cables and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they were working on a 5G tower. One of his team were up somewhere on work trying to maintain. Somebody had damaged it or done something, and they actually got attacked.
That's ridiculous.
Because they were, we put it out of action for a reason. It's killing everyone, and it started attacking his team. 5G tower.
Oh dear me.
I mean, you couldn't write that shit. There's just some proper idiots out there. The
one that I've heard, there's been about for a while, but Donald Trump's only just sort of got wind of it, is that it was a man-made thing. It's a man-made, and there's a lab in there in the Wuhan province. I don't know if you guys know about that.
I'd heard about this.
Yeah, so I heard about this a long time ago though, but I didn't hear it was man-made. What I knew was that lab that's basically one of the labs where they deal with all these viruses and they keep them contained. So my thing, and this is going back 8, 9, 10 weeks ago or whatever, my thing was like, so obviously it's got out somehow from that lab. It's not through a bat or whatever. Whether that's true or false, I don't know. But the funniest thing is that like now, just recently, within the last couple of weeks, Trump's obviously heard about it. So he's gone on TV saying, this is how it's happened. But he's saying it's a man-made virus by the Chinese. So, you know, he's basically pointing it at them. So what I don't know what he's trying to start there. Obviously, it's not a good thing to be saying. But as far as I'm aware, because a lot of these viruses, they do see, because I was listening to this guy who deals with viruses, they actively go seeking these things. But the idea is to be able to seek them, find either like a vaccination or whatever, or a cure for it, or keep that shit contained. And yeah, whatever the reason, somewhere down the line, somebody said that it's a man-made virus. Obviously, conspiracy theorist people, they're saying it's a man-made virus, and there's whatever government political value in that to spread that. And they're saying, like, you know, on a grand scale of like China, actually there wasn't as many deaths as there has been in the likes of the US and the UK as well. So conspiring against Trump. So, but the problem is you can't just go on TV and on Twitter and start spouting all that shit, because look where it starts. Yeah, but Trump's the only president I know who actually implements his policies from ideas he gets off YouTube. I've never known any other president do that. So he'll base it on all, you know what I mean, political strategy off something he's just seen on YouTube, and then he'll start tweeting about it. And then 48 hours.
Just a clown, isn't he? He was on about the other week. He was on about is there any way you can like, if you drink like disinfectant and
that's
sort it out, and then and then it's like, and then there was the other about the ultraviolet. It's that we can is where we take the light and we put it inside, and that kind of sorts it out as well. It was like, I'm looking around thinking, is this a setup or is this guy actually fucking real?
Well, he was speaking to like a proper expert, but he was putting her on the spot. It was in front of all these people, and he was saying, can we not take a light and shine and put it inside them or whatever? And this woman's like, she don't know what to say, man. She's like, we're in front of probably millions of people in America watching this. You're asking me this. In her head, she's going, you dickhead, how can you even think this? You're supposed to be the president. But at the same time, she's going, how do I avoid this situation? Not make him look bad so, I don't lose my job after this in front of all these people. And she's just like, oh, man, it's so awkward for her. She must have just felt like, I want that ground to just swallow me up.
Yeah.
Horrible. Yeah, it's funny to watch though, because it's just. There was a question. There was something I was watching before. Oh, so they were talking about. So this was right at the beginning. And it was like, do you think the COVID is going to affect relationships? So will there be more domestic abuse? And he goes, Mexican abuse. I was like, no, that's so they said domestic violence, and he went Mexican violence, and I'm like, that's just how his mind is taking over.
That was what it was. The same people hear what they want to hear, so he was like, that's another excuse to build the wall a bit higher.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, oh man, this guy's so bad. It must be hard to be American.
You just can't believe that they've actually elected. It just shows you how so much mistrust, very much like we do in our political system. The Americans are the same. The fact that they've actually voted a guy like Trump in to be president, it just makes no sense because he's such a clown. And it's like, the most powerful nation in the world allegedly, and you've literally elected a buffoon as your president. That just it just makes you laugh. It really does.
The talk, from what I can hear, I mean, I don't keep up enough with American politics, but from what I'm hearing is that they've not got a lot of options at the minute. Like for anybody to even take over, it's like, I think they'd rather just keep Trump in than some of the people that are running against him now. And I think the time when he got voted in, it was again lesser of two evils, because I don't think Hillary's as good as what sort of people make out either.
Yeah, so. I mean, she was on, wasn't she, to take it right up until I think before the polls opened, and it was like, she was the favourite. The bookies had her as favourite. Everybody was convinced she was going to win by a landslide, and then God knows what's happened in that sort of final 24, 36 hours. And it's just completely gone the other way around. It's just crazy. It really is. I mean, I don't really know what the problem was with her, really. Like you say, I don't know enough about American politics. I don't know why she was seen as like the devil incarnate. Because I saw some interviews to some people, and it was like, no, we can't. Under no circumstances can we have Hillary as first female president. It's, so there's obviously something. It
depends what you believe, really. I mean, obviously none of it's proven, but there's a lot of things that I've heard that they're not good. But I wouldn't comment on it, because I'm like, I've heard these things. It could be bullshit. So who knows? But she seemed to have the backing of like all the celebrities and stuff like that as well. Doing campaigns with her, and like the likes of Katy Perry and stuff like that, who's one of the biggest celebrities or biggest pop stars on Instagram. I know she's got shitloads of followers and that. So, when you're getting all those kind of younger votes and everything as well, you're getting that much weight behind you. You would have thought they should have just took it. I remember waking up in the morning and seeing it, thinking, shit, because I think I was having a bet. I was looking at the odds. I was like, Trump's never winning this. Lo and behold, there it was. First thing in the morning, wake up to that.
Russian influence, apparently.
Facebook algorithms and shit.
Yeah.
Putin and all his scandalous operatives.
Well, I didn't want to say it, Tim, so that bullet's on your head, mate.
Putin don't.
Don't know if this video is even going to make YouTube at this rate.
Everything will just literally go off. We'll have a mysterious power cut any minute now.
People will just mysteriously inject me with some plutonium on streets of Bradford.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, I don't know what sort of time you guys got left, but this can't be a podcast or a true project podcast. I know it's a bonus one, but without doing a quiz. Now, this is the first time we've done it on video, so this would be interesting to do. I think pit you two up against each other. Usually, what I do is I give you 60 seconds to get.
I've done my quiz.
Listen. Usually, you get 60 seconds to get as many questions as possible, right as possible. But because there's two of you, I'm thinking this could be a good time to do Tim versus Jace. I'll shout a question out, and you just give me your name. I mean, we could make it funny and give you something daft to say each, but we'll just say shout your name, and then it's the first one to get it right, and we'll do it first to 5. How do you feel about that?
Go on then.
All right. Gary and Martin Kemp were in which band?
Jason. Spandau Ballet.
Well done. That's 1-0. Keep your scores, lads, because I'm not writing any of this down either. What is the collective name for a group of crows? This is a tough one.
I haven't got a Scooby. No idea.
You don't want to guess?
No, I couldn't even give you a guess on that one.
All right, okay, let's move on. Which city in America will host the 2018? Sorry, I've got this.
2018. We're time traveling now, Rich.
I'm telling you, it's the way this is written down. It's terrible. 2028 Olympics. Let me start again. Which city in America will host the 2028 Olympics?
Jason, New York, I think.
Nope. Tim, just steal it.
Atlanta.
No. Go again. You're both back in. Pretty obvious one. If you were to think of a few big cities in America, I'll give you that as a tip.
LA.
Well done. So you're getting battered here, Tim.
I know.
Percy Spencer invented which time-saving kitchen appliance?
Who?
Percy Spencer.
Percy Spencer. Time-saving kitchen appliance.
Go on, Tim.
Microwave.
Well done. Pulled one back. Now I'm going to give you some famous lines from TV and film. And you just need to give me the title of that TV show or movie. There's a snake in my boots. And I'm not doing this in character, so it might be a bit harder.
Tim.
Go on.
Snakes on a plane.
Nope.
It rings a bell, but I ain't got a clue.
We'll move on to the next one, and that's Toy Story.
All
right. You had me at hello.
You had me at hello. Again, rings a bell. Nah, it's gone.
I forgot you don't have TVs up there. All right. Give you an easy one now. Get out my pub.
Tim.
Go.
EastEnders.
Is that free too?
I think it is, man.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Turn it round, man. Turn it round. I'm going to go back to some questions. In golf, how does one achieve an eagle?
Jason.
Yeah.
3 shots. You sink it in 3 shots. I think. If it's a par 5. Oh, I can't remember.
Okay. I'll give you that. That makes sense. So, yeah, you have to be 2 under par.
2 under par, that's it, yeah.
It's a par 5 and get it free. So, yeah, 3 all. Spice it up a little bit. In which year did Twitter launch?
Jason. 2006.
Wow. Great answer.
Have you just Googled that?
Boom!
You just shouting out. You Googled it or something, man.
Yeah, Chantel's just sat here next to me. She's like, I'll get that shit for you, don't worry.
That was a good answer. I was not expecting that. All right. Be quick on this one. This one's an easy one, so you've got to get in there quick. Back to the famous line from film. I'm losing it. Film or TV? We ride together. We died together.
Jason.
Go.
Fast and Furious.
Wrong.
Is it? All right.
Frozen out. Timmy, it's over to you.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just going to go with Top Gun.
No. You're crap at films, aren't you?
We only watch Emmerdale Farm up here.
Yeah.
I thought it was an easy one. All right, we'll move on. You're both going to get this, so it's going to be a case of who's quickest. Eat my shorts.
Tim.
Sure.
Go.
Yeah.
Ah, Simpson.
Well done. Okay, so this is it. This is the decider. It's 4 each.
Yeah, this is where you're throwing a question about UFC in it, you bitch.
Make choice about UFC.
What's Tim's middle name? No. Which female tennis player holds the most singles titles?
Tim.
At Wimbledon, this is, sorry.
Tim. Venus Williams.
It's not.
Oh.
I believe it's her sister, Serena.
It's not.
Oh.
We're gonna move on. It's Martina Navratilova.
Ah, she's still got the record, right? Okay.
We'll stay with the sport. Either of you like rugby?
The proper one, yeah, league.
Right, then you might have an advantage here.
Not posh man's rugby union. Can't stand it.
In rugby, I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm going to let you both answer. Closest one wins it. In rugby, how many people are there in a scrum?
12.
Uh, 16.
One of you is right. Jason, you're the winner.
Yeah. Never in doubt, mate.
I hope that's right. Anyway, that's what I found out. That's what I got off the internet. But
Yeah,
what's Tim doing?
It might be
Is he
slightly
sulking?
Tim has left the room.
What's close though? It was close because
it was a good battle.
Jason shot off and you came back and then you let him go again, pulled it back. It was a good one. All right, lads. Well, it's been good. It's been an experiment. This one, first live. I think this scout's been all right. Me and Tim. Yeah, we tested it out yesterday. We had a little bit of fun with your internet connection, I think. But I mean, I did a workout yesterday. So after we had a test, I actually had a workout, and there were 16 people on this Zoom call, and it was fine. And I thought, well, what's it going to be if we've got 3 or 4 people on here? So, yeah, it's all good. So a little bonus podcast moving forward. We'll probably keep using these. We'll see if we can get away with putting this on YouTube. There's been some little bit of politics in there, so who knows?
Nice.
We are going to wrap it up at that because I know you boys have got lives. It's Saturday night, and I can see you're already drinking, Jace. So you probably want to stick a few more of those.
Oh yes.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining me. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been a laugh. Nice one, chaps. Yeah, great one. Nice one.
Yeah.
We shall do it again sometime.
Do it again, yeah.
Definitely.
It's been emotional.
All right.
See you later.
Bye.
Take care, boys.
Take care. See you later.